Hi, how are you?
Good.
Hi, so this is a Community Preservation Committee meeting on September 6th, 7 o'clock. And I would just like everybody to introduce themselves and let people know why you're on the committee. My name is Ann Mazar, and I'm the chair, and I'm the representative for the Land Use Committee. Dan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Dan, I'm the representative from the Parks Commission.
And Mike?
Mike Goddard, representing Select Board.
And Lynn?
Lynn Roberts, Chair, Historic Commission.
And Barry?
Barry Adirola, Planning Board Representative.
Great. So let me just, did you guys get a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Yep.
Does someone want to make,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written. Those minutes are for May 3rd, 2022.
a second on that?
Second.
Second,
Okay. Any discussion?
No, good job.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Oh, we need to do roll call votes.
Okay,
Remote.
Barry,
Lynn?
aye.
Lynn
Dan,
Roberts,
aye.
aye.
Michael?
I'll abstain. I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay, Dan?
Aye.
And aye. Okay. So I think the next item is to talk about possible items for the November town meeting. And I think what we'll ask people to do is fill out an application, but we need to get it on the warrant before it closes. So we need to put placeholders in there at least. So I think Lynn and Dan might be the two people that have items that they want to put on the warrant. Which one of you would like to go first?
I mean, I have a few, and I don't know. Maybe Lynn has duplicates.
Mine are mostly duplicates. I think, Dan, you had sent through to me. And it would just be placeholders at this point because we still don't have exact amounts of
Right.
money.
So, Ellen Agro is looking for some money to have some old tax records preserved. They were found by the society when cleaning out files, and I think they belong with the town. They're old tax records. So I think she has to take them to Green Dragon to get a price. I think the number we were talking about was in the 5,000 to 10,000 range. I'm not sure. It's a bunch of individual things that have to be cleaned. I guess they get bugs in them. So that was one request from Ellen.
Okay.
The other request that is maybe not quite as fleshed out is trying to do something with the second floor of the old library building. Perhaps convert it into file storage or some sort of archives. As part of the town hall campus project, they showed that a ramp could fit on the front, which would solve your ADA issue, but you'd obviously have to have that designed and not look like crap. So I think the request would be to maybe get some money to hire some sort of a consultant or engineer to figure out the design, what can be done, how it, would obviously need to be historic restoration, of, I assume, what used to be a church. But I think the first step there would be using CPA money instead of administrative funds to get an engineer, architect, consultant, somebody to put together a whole proposal.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea not to use administrative funds because we're going to run out of them. And that would be a good thing to vote on and talk about, I think.
And I don't know what that could cost, 10, 20,000 easily. I mean, I think from dealing with the records room, I think we're going to really struggle getting somebody to jump on that, but maybe not.
Okay.
Can we use funds from the historical account?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we would definitely do that until that we don't have the money there.
Okay.
Okay, anything else with historical?
Yeah, so the third
Okay.
one related to that, the windows of town hall. Unfortunately, at some point, they took out all the historic windows and put in these garbage, cheapo plastic things, probably in the 90s. It'd be nice to restore them. I think, now I don't remember what she said. Kathy looked into it. Because of the preservation restriction, I think we have to hire an architect to spec out the proper restoration, original windows. I mean, it potentially could be a huge project. But again,
It
I think
also, could
the
they
ask
also be energy efficient? You know, like have the historic, but be energy efficient?
right, well, I think we'd have to figure all that out.
Excuse me.
So, but I think there's probably some upfront costs to put together a proposal and design or what needs to go in. I assume they can put energy efficient glass, but in a wood frame.
Yeah, they could definitely do that.
So,
So would that be a separate then consultant engineering type of a request?
yeah, and I'll have to talk to Kathy. She's probably at the polls. She had a little information. There might be somebody local that we could work with on this.
Okay,
But again, I think you could be looking at maybe, I don't know, another 5 to 10,000. I don't know, maybe a little less because this is not as complicated.
I think Anderson still makes a wooden window that's vinyl clad on the outside. Thermal paint. They could probably put the dividers in the middle of it, make it look more in tune with the age.
Yeah, I don't know what we're.
okay.
I think those were the historic ones, unless Lynn has more.
No, we really just had the records room. I don't think we had said anything about cemeteries, did we, Dan? Do we need more? I
No.
don't think we need to go there. No.
We're all set until we get
I
the
think we're
work,
good.
the initial project. And with the record room, though, there was talk of spending money from administrative funds for the engineering. It
Right.
might be worth voting that money at this point, because again, I think we're struggling getting the proper engineering to respond, but
But I think we already did vote the engine, I
Okay.
mean, well, we voted it last year, so I guess we're in a new fiscal year, so then this is the engineering for the records room?
Right.
yeah, if it was administrative funds, I think it just simply wouldn't gotten, if it didn't get spent. It just, I mean,
Yes.
if we're not in a crunch to do something before November, it might be better to pull that out of the actual funds and leave the administrative funds for a true emergency.
I agree because it would use up all the administrative funds. So I think it would be good to ask for it at the town meeting if we could. You think that would work, Lynn?
I think so. I think so. I mean, we've asked before, we've had a lot of support. I mean, we had the support of, was it Concom? We had support, no, Select Board, I'm sorry. We had support of the Select Board, and everybody seemed very keen on, doing something for the records room. I think we definitely could go to the town and get the money for it. And if we explain what the delay has been, it does seem that we keep going back asking and having to pull it off the warrant all the time, but we just are really struggling to find someone who can do the engineering.
I think
So-
also the select board paid for the surveying. So
Right.
they already put
They
in a
did.
chunk of money. Yeah.
They did. Yep.
I mean, I think in terms of timeline, it sounds like, I mean, in theory, if you got this money and could do this, you write the grant in March and could ask for the project money in May.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I think we do have to,
shot.
Kathy is not with us tonight, so there is something that if we want to do that bricks and mortar grant, we're supposed to have the engineering done in the fall, by the fall. In order to, that has to be done before we can go forward with that grant. And the grant opens, I think, the middle of January. So, I mean, we're in a time crunch, but I mean, it's not like we're not doing anything here. We just literally cannot get anybody to return a phone call, or they're not the people that can actually handle it. So we're putting feelers out right now to see what we can do. In fact, I've got to place a call to John Nenart and see who they're using for their engineering. We've got to find somebody to do it because that little room's going to die otherwise.
I think that you could move forward with it, finding somebody, not spending the money to pay an engineer, because there's a good chance it's going to pass at the town meeting. But
Yep.
if you needed the money beforehand, we could meet again and probably set aside some administrative money for you to get started if,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we find somebody and we have an idea of what, what it's gonna cost, then we definitely would be able to come to you in a better position. But that's the struggle at the moment. I think that's all we had, wasn't it, Dan, from historic?
I believe so at this point. I'm trying to think if there's
Okay.
anything down the road. I mean, I think that's all I can think of.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't honestly think of
Actually-
anything that we need to go to the town. Oh, go on. What?
I- Two others. There might be, I got to follow up on this potential, I don't know if it qualifies, but repairs to the fire alarm system next door in the old library, which maybe might fall into this other project. I don't know if that falls under maintenance, but that might be an issue that's going to need to be addressed.
I mean,
Would
I
that
think
come out of
you'd-
historic?
And the other
I think
long-term
it could be
project,
historic if it was wrapped into a larger project, but you couldn't just do the maintenance,
No.
you know. I mean,
Right.
like you can put in an ADA elevator, that type of thing, if it's part of a larger project
right?
on historical buildings.
The other thing that
Oops, I
is
can't hear you.
not necessarily going to happen now, but we have the potential to add fire sprinklers to these buildings if we wanted to. So for the library, we could at least explore what that might look like. Again, town hall. I mean, they're doing stuff in here now. When they did the police station, there's a stub in the line to tie these buildings in if we so desired.
I think that you should, under the looking at turning the upstairs into a place where you could archive materials.
Hmm.
I think that the sprinklers and alarm makes sense to do it in that project. So why don't you just lump it in that consultant engineering? I think that would be better.
All right.
I mean, because if you're going to preserve records, you don't want them to burn
Right.
in a fire. So that makes sense. I mean, okay. Recreation.
So I had one more from Parks. We're looking for funding to repaint the tennis courts at Memorial Park as well as that outdoor like mini basketball court area at Clough to add pickleball lines. So if you're not familiar, apparently pickleball is the new up and coming sport. I believe it's some sort of a weird cross between badminton and tennis.
It's fun. It
Okay.
is. Yeah. And a lot of people can play it, which is nice, and like all ages, and it is fun.
Yeah. So we've been getting a lot of inquiries. So we've been starting to look at what it would cost. Unfortunately, it is a little expensive. So we're looking for the total would be 24,900 to resurface.
Oh, so it would be resurfacing and painting the lines?
Well, so they would basically power wash, repair any cracks that have come through, and then repaint the whole surface with what's the dual lines. So your tennis is one color and your pickleball's in another. The Clough is a basketball court. They would add pickleball lines, and then we'd like to purchase 2 sets of nets on wheels that
Yeah.
would be available and could get moved out of the way.
Yep.
So that it was 14,500 for Memorial, 9,400 for Clough, and then the 2 nets. They're about $3. I put $1,000, but they're about $300 to $400 each.
Okay.
It's a slight buffer. Unfortunately, I talked to the one vendor. We'll have to get quotes, but the one vendor we used, it sounds like a lot of the materials are going up in price. So the total is 24,900, and then if it matters, Parks is going to separately spend around 10 to 11,000 to also repaint and repair the basketball court.
I think that's always good that, the money's matched.
It's a little bit of, so these court, they have to get redone so often, and obviously CPA can't pay for maintenance. So this is kind of an opportunity to, instead of maintenance, we're adding a new purpose to the court.
Yep. That's
So
a good
it'll buy
idea.
us another chunk on the thing, and I don't think the Clough court's ever been done since it was built.
Okay. I was saying to Dan earlier that, and I said it in the email, it'd be good if people handed in the application and then had all the information, but by like I said September 19th. That's the date of the warrant when it closes. So, you know, in terms of estimates, if you could get an estimate by then, that would be good, but the best guess, because then the select board are gonna, you know, have to look it over. And so we want to have all the information pulled together.
2 weeks.
Yep. So I guess,
Well, I will follow up with Ellen and come up with a plan to get pricing on those records, because I think this group probably needs to talk about the final number, whatever, you know, it could be astronomical.
on the
and
records,
on the preserving of the, you know, if it turns out it's like 20,000-30,000, that we have to have a discussion about that, or what we actually want to preserve,
but I think that at this point,
the dollar amount.
yeah. So we could also, well, let me ask you this. On these items that were mentioned, is everyone generally in agreement that these would be good projects? And then before the town meeting, we would vote yes or no on the dollar amounts?
Yes.
I'm good with it.
Okay. So why don't we try to get if you could try to get the applications in by the 19th, and then we could get placeholders on the warrant. And if you could write out like the article, the warrant, you know, that would be good.
Where are the applications, Anne?
I sent you an email today and they're attached to that.
Okay,
Yep. And so you can just fill that form in and then just email it, and that'd be great.
okay.
Perhaps, Lynn, perhaps Historic could put that on an agenda too. They probably should
Yeah.
discuss and vote on those.
Yep.
And maybe Ellen will have time to get the data together
Um,
to repost that agenda, but
and does anybody else know what projects that people have been talking about or interested in?
I mean, I know there's always demand for more fields, you know, I just don't know where you'd put them. I know
And
that's
nothing specific though.
nothing specific.
Okay.
I can give you an update on the beach project if you're curious.
Sure.
I was gonna ask you about that.
So we just came back from bid. We are awarding a contract to Sean's Landscaping, Sean Clifton. His bid was 204,000. We got 2 bids back. The other one was 345,000. So that was a pretty clear choice. The fencing, we modified the design of the fencing a little bit. That I forget the exact number, but that's around 25 to 30. So we budgeted 25. The
What kind
playground
of
side are
fence did you end
25.
up with?
It's going to be black chain link, but we're not doing, here, let me see if I can share it. We were going to do a sliding gate.
Yep.
But turns out that that's like crazy expensive, and it was just not, it was going to look ugly. Hang on. Revised fence plan. So let me try and share this. So if you can see, this is kind of the new, you're gonna have this entrance to the beach, and the fence is actually gonna enclose this lower area. And that way it can just be a normal swing gate. It is a place that people can stand off the road if the gate's closed. But it's also significantly cheaper to go this direction
Cheaper than what?
than to have a sliding gate across the front.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So is the red line the fence?
yeah, the red line is the fence with a double gate right here. And then this is fence along the ramp. And then this would be the existing fence on the road. It's going to be, so it'd be black chain link. They're going to completely replace the front. The side, we're still, if we can afford it, we'll replace the fabric. If not, I think it's got enough plant life that you don't see it as much, but at least the front will look much cleaner. Not
Where's
that
the-
ugly.
So it looks, is there a fence between the beach and like the upper part of the park?
No, what you're seeing there is the 100-foot buffer.
But but if the red's a fence, it's almost like a rectangle.
Yeah, so you have staircase or a ramp, and then this is your entrance. This is the patio. The snack shack is right here. The beach house is right off the bottom of the plan. And this is that grass area. So
Okay.
this is going to get lost to the access ramp anyway.
So has that always been fenced in like that?
No, it's just straight across the road.
Oh, and so why do you want to fence in the whole area?
Because of the railings for the entrance, you can't have a gate that swings in. Because of the road, you can't have a gate that swings out. So the only option is a big giant sliding gate, which has to have a huge giant post and has to be cantilevered. It would look horrible. It would look like prison. So I think this will be a much cleaner entrance where it'll actually be obvious that this is an entrance.
But the bottom red line, like where's the wall that's by the beach?
Let me pull up the full plans. Hang on.
What was Sean's total?
His
210.
bid, it was 204, and then there was a few alternates. 204, and then an additional 2,500 for another set of stairs. Hang on, where's the beach project? I don't know how. Plans. But I guess the short version is we're in good shape. So that's the whole set of plans here, if that is more helpful. Those are the two walls getting done all the way down here.
And is the dotted line the fence? No.
No, the fence is along the road.
Oh, so it's only along the road. That's okay, because the red went okay, I get it.
Well, so what I was showing you though, we're adding, so this area up here, if it'll let me draw on it, instead of having a fence go across the road like this,
Yep.
we're going to have the fence basically do this. So this area right here will kind of be like a waiting area.
Okay.
It'll be a little cleaner look, and it'll save us a boatload of money.
Yeah.
Good. So when will you start work on that?
He said October. We met today to discuss a contract. He's got to look it over, and then we're going to sign a contract. So that should be in good shape.
Great.
Still within budget.
Yeah.
It's well below, actually.
Why
right?
did so that? Oh, and then there's rumor that we might have some materials donated. I don't want to say too much in the recorded meeting till it's officially confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
if that comes
wow.
through, that'll be a huge savings.
That's great. Nice.
It'll go to a select board meeting and all that. We're waiting on official notifications.
Mm-hmm.
But
Good. Is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up or talk about? No.
can I ask a question at the risk of starting World War III? Could we maybe, I'm just curious if we could ask for like a final summary of the hardwood floors in Town Hall. If you haven't seen them, they're beautiful what they did.
So
I'm just
they've
curious,
actually-
did they
so
spend
the-
all that money? Is there anything left?
I
think-
haven't,
Oh, I'll have to send you the picture. It's
Yeah, I'd love to see
unbelievable
the
what it
picture.
came out like. But I'd just be curious to know if that 18,000 is gone, if that's complete.
I'll find out.
Maybe.
I haven't heard, like, if a voucher was submitted. I mean, it was through someone else, so. Were they refinishing the floors that were there? They didn't put floors down. There's no way,
No,
right?
that's what was there. They had to like scrape all the glue and whatever off. They had to do asbestos abatement in the offices. All those tiles were asbestos.
Uh-huh.
And Jody would know. I think they have to do a finish coat.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try and find the pictures and send them to you. I thought I had.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see that.
It's all
I'll-
covered up now to protect it, but they came out really nice.
Oh, nice.
And Dan, you're just wondering if all the money allocated for the floors was spent?
I guess I'm just curious how that, I mean, I guess there's some apparently drama with that project. I just want to make sure that our portion of it is all set, and if they're coming back for more, or if that was done, or
So is there a broader question about potential need for more money for the project
Well,
as well?
I guess my impression is almost all that work that's being done could theoretically be eligible for CPA funds. I mean, Upton did a massive renovation of their town hall. So if the intent is to do more work, I mean, I'm all in favor of just, I know Historic has questions. It just, I mean, it seems like it'd be nice to see if there was a more bigger scale of a plan of what's being done. So everybody's on the same page. It seems like there's a lot of stuff just getting done piecemeal, but anything that's, I mean, if you see the work Dan did, he restored the tin ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they could do that and the rest of that building, it's night and day when you compare that office across the hall.
No, I have to
mean-
check it out.
Well, yeah, I just want to be clear though, the ask though, Dan, it's not necessarily about the floor. That actually, you just asked for more of an overall view of the project as a whole, right?
Well, no, I guess I'm curious. So we appropriated, I think, 18,000 for those floors in like 2014.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if that money was all spent, if there's any left, if that is complete. And then I guess maybe just the question is, if there's more work to be done, is that something that's going to come before CPA,
Okay.
or another group? I guess, I don't know. We've had a lot of conversations in different boards about nobody seems to know what's going on, and it kind of doesn't seem like there's much of a plan. And it's unfortunate because I think there's so much potential when you look at what that office ended up as.
So
Could
your
be nice.
Is there
question,
a final, I'm sorry, Anne, carry on.
I was just gonna say, so Mike, sorry, you're really asking Mike and the select board if there is a full plan and what,
Well, I mean, there's two different things. I feel like Dan keeps saying full plan, but that really has nothing to do with the money per se. But so I think more of an overall understanding of what the plan is and the potential impact or need for more CPC funds is how I would translate that. I mean, I think there's a lot of talk about no plan, but there is a plan, Dan. I mean,
Yeah.
multiple
Well, I just-
iterations, right?
If there's, I guess if there's an ask for us, that would be good to know so we can
Okay.
be prepared for it.
And we can ask him to submit it through the form that you've put together.
Yep.
A good test run.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
I can
I'll
find
post it
out.
this week, so I can take that if you'd like.
Okay. Do you want me to check about the 16,000? I think it was said, just looked it up. It was 16,000 for the floors. You want me to just look and see if it was spent?
Sure. Yep.
Is there a final accounting on what's been spent, what's left to spend, what that whole total project was? Because, I mean, I've been down, I think it's gorgeous what's going on down there, but I just didn't know where the money's come from or, where any discussion was held, because it's an historic building. At no point has anybody come before historic. I don't know, just my 2 cents.
My understanding though, Lynn, is that both you and Kathy have met and walked through and understand sort of how they were reworking what they were restoring versus not restoring on the right-hand side of the town hall.
Not me, not at all. We went the very, very first walkthrough when there were so many people. I think there were like 8 or 10 people when it was things that were going to be done. But I've not been approached at all, and nor has the Historic Commission been approached or even had any kind of discussions with it. There was somebody had mentioned to Kathy, I don't know who it was, if it was Kim, that there is going to be the area which is now like the post room where the Xerox machine and everything is going to be some kind of display for historic items. I no one's approached us, so I don't know. I've peeked in there a couple of times after meetings, but I don't know any plan or anything that's gone on with any of it. So, but that's me. I mean, Kathy may have been approached. I think at some point, I'm not sure. Dan, was Kathy involved in?
I remember having a walkthrough. It was you, me, Kathy, Kim, way like.
Yeah, it was like 10 people
because she was
before
talking about
anything
all
was
the
even
doors and
done.
all the work he did in the hall, all the trim.
Right.
kind of directing people to that side entrance. So that was all discussed. None of the renovations of the office. I mean, I think at that time, the rest of the ceiling, none of that was really on the table. You know, and I mean, historic isn't really involved in what goes where. That's not our purview. But I think just maybe understanding now what the next steps are. I know Kim, I think maybe it was me who mentioned it. Kim mentioned to me about, and what's his name? Bill mentioned this. They want to open up that back wall. There's some energy to get better airflow and kind of make more of a vestibule. And I think, yeah, she's trying to create an area for like displays and things. So if there's an
Yeah.
ask related to that for CPA, I think
Well,
it would to know about.
I mean, I think also maybe since there is a historical preservation restriction on the building, it's probably a good idea to include the historical commission, I guess. That would be helpful
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
it's
on
not,
future plans.
we're not really, you know, I mean, it would be nice to know what's happening with some of the historic elements of it, but I mean, it's not our job to say what can and can't be done. And that's not what, I just have no idea. All of a sudden we went through, we had this walkthrough. Yeah, Dan, there was a few of us actually that walked through there.
Okay.
And that was the one and only time I've ever been included in any of it. I know Kathy has been. I know Kathy was spoken to a couple of times about it. But, you know, I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know, what are they doing with like the offices upstairs? Are they all coming downstairs? If there's,
Supposedly, the latest iteration, they're moving Jean temporarily to the basement, to that former planning board room, so they can start working on those back rooms. I think there was talk of trying, so that like weird bump out in the select board room is a chimney and possibly a fireplace. I think they're hoping, depending on what it looks like, if it can be, exposed, would be wonderful. Beyond that, I don't really know any of the specifics, but
okay,
I just know that that's the next phase. I think the treasurer's office side is pretty much done, except for small things.
Cool.
A window.
Okay, so Mike, then if maybe at the
What?
next meeting, you could like let us know what the next plans or steps are?
So, I mean, I would recommend this. Yes, I can do that. I think what I bring back here should be specific to CPC. I hear a much broader conversation being asked for, and if you want to do it in this meeting, we can. But I'm actually going to go back and suggest that the select board have a town hall discussion with any boards or committees that are curious. Because in some respects, there's a lot of noise out there, and some of it could be valid, some of it isn't. But I mean, if you want to know people should know what's going on. That's more of a select board Kim thing to communicate as opposed to take up time in your meeting as it pertains to.
I know it's a good idea.
Money. Absolutely. I'll bring that back.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I agree with that. But when the CPA money is spent, you have to put this historical preservation restriction on it. And so I think it's important that we make sure that we're following the state standards. And so that's why my concern as a CPA chair is that the historical commission is involved, just so that we're, staying in line with that restriction. So that would be the CPC part.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And I think I'll go back and chat with Kathy and see, what involvement she's had and if she's being kept up to date. Because that can go on our next historic agenda.
I would think too, Ann, I would probably say it's fair for you to ask for a CPA, an audit, if you will, right? So are we even sure Kim understands what guidelines she needs to follow? As she seems to be the point working with the gentleman that's doing the work, Dan. And she's not clear exactly on sort of and I think it's fair to ask for info, and I can bring it back, but I think something we should formalize the process to recon both funds and work to make sure to meet the needs you just asked for, because the verbal thing I don't think really works well. You know what I mean?
Well, I could go on, Dan.
I actually just read there was a bunch of technical articles they posted on the CPA site, and that was one of them, that some town, they actually have like formal agreements with every single award of money, but I think, in this case, it's really just the floors that were funded. I think, like you said, having more of a written understanding of this is the expectation when CPA funds are involved, this is how it's going to work.
But it hasn't been just floors though. It's been the
Right.
painting, it's been the roof, it's been, and then
Right.
we're gonna do
Well, yeah.
more, and then also the library. So
So,
I can just, I mean, so
don't know.
if we send an email to Kim and the select board, maybe we could just say something along the lines of, when historical projects are done on buildings that have restrictions on them, please, or it would make sense to include the historical commission so that we make sure that we're following the state standards for the restriction. Does that make
How
sense?
about including the taxpayer? Sounds like the
Um,
taxpayers and the citizens don't know too much about what's going on there. After all, they're the ones paying for it. It's their money. We're just the guardians of it.
Well, I think too, like Mike was saying, that if there was some kind of a meeting, explaining the project, that would at least be a forum where people could find
Right.
out more about the project.
Outside of town meeting, even some postings, Mike, on the website to give updates. But Ian, I think it's even fair. I mean, in terms of when you say follow state, I think it's fair to formalize and put the onus on the select board and Kim to some of the form you're doing. You're formalizing how to request CPC funds to other committees and things, right?
Hmm.
I think something similar, saying, hey, our expectation is for using these funds at the commencement and the ending of a project, this is what we need to understand to fulfill our obligation as sort of the overall CPA administrator. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'm just thinking that, I was thinking I would send out an email just kind of to all, like, the staff and committees saying that, if you want a CPA project for this next town meeting, get in touch soon and close the application. And then I think mentioning that about the standards, will they be
Yeah.
met? So maybe I will just do more of a general kind of a note about using CPA funds.
And Mike, I'm taking just a broader discussion point with Kim and the board to kind of get out in front of what's going on with the town halls and as a whole, whether it be a series of communications, meetings, et cetera, just so there's less ambiguity as to what's happening and when it's happening.
And it's really good that it's happening, and a lot of great stuff is happening,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
That's the positive for sure. Inside and outside of the town hall campus. This isn't a really CPA meeting, but there was gonna be like a newsletter or something that the select board doesn't have. Did that ever happen? Like every 3 months, committees were gonna like say what was going on, and then we were gonna share that. Is that anything that the select board's talked about?
Not in the time I've been on the board this
Okay.
time around.
I'll bring it up sometime, because it is kind of helpful sometimes to know what other committees are doing. Like the whole senior center project, and then the affordable housing project on the land right next to the town. And there was,
I think the first step is in our last meeting, we talked about coverage. So that's how I came back here and gave Lonnie a break off CPC because he's doing other committees. But, I'll be sitting in on Concom, and we're all sort of broadening our reach across the different committees so we can kind of try to drive that synergy. That I think a next step would be to sort of consolidate that into a newsletter or whatever, something like that to, keep people on the same page.
yeah, it'd be helpful. All right, anything else?
is there anything with the housing, or is that all
I
set?
think the surveys are being done now for 52 Providence, and then the access to the well site, and, so there's nothing that would be on this town meeting. Still collecting information, and an RFP has not been put out.
So the survey is what we funded at the last thing that we had. So they're doing that now.
Yes, I have
Okay.
to talk to Bill to
Yeah.
get an update. But the other thing too, and this is CPA related, is that Bill was affordable housing director, but he, really is pulling out, and he's not taking any salary. And he does want to follow through with the 52 Providence Street, but It seems like if CMRPC could find an affordable housing person that could be like in 3 towns or something like that, that would be very helpful to Mendon. You know, and have someone dedicated to that. Because it's CPA funds that we set aside at the last town meeting, you know, for a salary for that position. So that's something we should bring up.
I mean, it sounds like the direction that would go would be some sort of shared position, or, I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
such a technical involved, you know, that's it. Unless, I don't know, I can't imagine somebody would come out of the woodwork that wants to get involved, but
Well, and also, we
Never know.
only need a part-time person and have money for a part-time person, and it's
Yeah.
not, you know,
Right.
it'd be really hard to find someone. I mean, Bill kind of learned on the job, so.
I'm wondering, Ann, I know I was in the last master plan meetings I read, they talked about planning with CMRPC for implementation. I think that was sort of a discussion point. You know, maybe we should look at all of our CMRPC needs for possible opportunities to leverage them and kind of consolidate those.
Mhm.
If we can talk to Bill to see if float the idea that if we're going to bring them on with help with implementation of master plan, we could also, you know, see if we can incorporate that because there's a housing chapter, right?
Oh, yeah, yep. And also, like, there's a housing production plan that we got money for, but we need someone that is like a housing coordinator to follow through with it, and we don't have anybody right now, so
That's something
CMRPC.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry. So is that something the planner could do? Especially
Possibly.
once we get a planner versus Jack that we're getting to do everything for us because he's the
I know,
best.
he's great. I know. Yeah, possibly. But anyways, I will kind of pursue that idea because we do need somebody for the affordable housing coordinator. Right. Anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Sorry, meeting date, do we want to just confirm
Well,
is the first, whatever?
I'll second that motion.
okay. Mike, you just got on the meeting and now you're seconding to adjourn. Okay.
So October 4th.
Uh,
Oh, no, so we probably need to, oh no, that's plenty of time.
Yeah, right. So I think that if we meet at our next regularly scheduled time, then we'll have details on the dollar amounts. We'll get the information on the warrant as placeholder. And when, do you know when, Michael, the end, when is the last time we can change things on the warrant? Because it has to be printed and everything. Do you know that date?
No, but I can get that.
Yeah, actually, if you could just email that to us, that would be really helpful because then maybe we would have to have an earlier meeting, but
Okay, yeah. Get that and I'll send it around.
okay. And you're surviving on the select board?
It's all good.
Good. Thank you for doing that. It sounds like the 5-member board seems to be working out well, at least from a distance. It seems like it is.
Yeah, no, so far so good.
Great. Well, thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
All right. So I guess all those in favor for adjourning the meeting?
Right.
Larry, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. All right. Have a good month. And if you have any questions, email and we'll stay in
Yep.
touch in between.
LUC
All right.
next week?
Oh, land use?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna, yeah, we will.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Good night.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.